Hello everybody, it's Charlie again. I am currently playing UFC 2. It's pretty much the only UFC game I owned on the PS4, that is. On the PS3 I do own, I believe it's UFC 3. The one that came with Pride FC. I wish they would just remake that one. The game was amazing. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and do some matches with the legendary Bruce Lee. And talk a little bit about Bruce Lee and about how people are suddenly talking about him negatively, and some people are ultra fans and making up, fantasy stories. Both things are bad and wrong, because if you never met the person, you probably shouldn't do that. But neither here nor there. We're gonna go ahead and do our first match. It's gonna be Bruce versus Rafael dos Anjos in knockout mode. And yeah, after that I think I'm going to do a couple of regular matches. I just wanted to try out knockout mode. I don't think I ever played it before, and if I did, I might have forgotten. But yeah, either way, let's get into it. Hope you guys enjoy. Oh, there we go. We got Bruce Lee versus Rafael dos Anjos. Alright, Bruce. Shit, I hope I still know how to play.
And he finishes. Very good. He's wilting. Hard left hand.
There we go, Bruce. Let's go.
Oh, man.
What?
That leg kick did some damage.
Yeah. That's the power of Bruce.
Check out this angle here. Boom. And then he's out.
What a fucking knockout. And yes, people, I'm a fan of Bruce, not only for his philosophy, but for his way of fighting. And the reason why I know that he was actually good at fighting was because Jim Kelly, in real life... Oh, this guy's done, dude. He can't stand up to Bruce.
Wicked knockout here.
Yeah, that was amazing. So I think it's best 2 out of 3 or something.
Check it out here.
This is knockout mode, guys, so it's all about the knockouts. TJ Dillashaw versus Bruce Lee. Another chance to prove that Bruce was the real deal.
Dillashaw set for the biggest fight of his life as he battles.
But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and skip the intro, I think. But yeah, guys, basically the reason why I decided to talk about Bruce Lee. Let's see the difference in height and everything. Okay, they're about the same. Cool. Bruce has longer arms. But yeah, guys, like I was saying, Jim Kelly, who was an Enter the Dragon with Bruce, and he used to train with Bruce, he said that Bruce was untouchable in an interview. Not only as a movie star or as a legend, but as a martial artist. And he beat famous martial artists that now, after his death, pretend like they were actually on par with him, And of course, think about how weird that is. When he was alive, nobody was talking shit. You know what I'm saying? So that right there should tell you if he was legit or not, I mean, look what they talk about other martial artists compared to Bruce, right? They waited till Bruce died to talk shit. It's hilarious. But I don't like TJ Dillashaw, guys. That's why I chose him, because he's a little bit of an arrogant person. I don't like his attitude, but if you're a fan of his, I mean, good for you. I just, not my cup of tea. Everybody likes what they like. I like his fighting style. I think he's a good fighter. He fights weird, but he's definitely a good fighter. Yeah. At least I still remember how to do my transitions. Ooh, block him. Fuck, this guy's tough. He's still my left off, right? I underestimated him. But yeah, let me get up. I need to take a breather. I lost all my stamina. But yeah, guys, another thing that a lot of people hide what he did is because even though Bruce was born here, he was American, he was raised in Hong Kong. So at the time, there was a lot of racism. They didn't consider, small Chinese guy. It's embarrassing. If you get beat up by a small dude, first of all, that weighs less than you, you're not going to tell anybody. You know what I'm saying? If anything, you'll make up a story how you beat him. And trust me, I've been in fights myself, and people always change the story, especially if they lost a fight. So at the time, the UFC didn't exist. There was no type of competition like that. And like people talk about Chuck Norris a lot. Chuck Norris was a point fighting champion, okay? And point fighting is not like UFC, guys. So I hate to say it, and I do like Chuck Norris. I think I've watched literally all of his movies. But yeah, Bruce was legit, man. Like, what do you think all those people wanted to train with him? You think it was a coincidence? They wanted to train with him because he was a real deal. He still wasn't famous here, guys. I don't know why they keep saying, well, I mean, if he was a famous guy, he was not. He was only famous in Hong Kong. He was not famous here yet. In fact, he became famous after his death and after the release of Enter the Dragon. So, yeah, it's just crazy. The stuff that you hear, some of it logically doesn't make sense. Now, it's also bullshit that he could stop bullets with his hands and crazy shit like that, I mean, you can't be delusional, you know what I'm saying? And of course, there's always somebody better than somebody, so there could have been somebody better than him. He just never met him in his lifetime, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. I'm not part of the hype train in terms of that. But you have to give the man his due, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, he put in the work. He influenced millions to this day. What do you think he's the only person they still talk about? Why do you think they don't talk about those other guys? Is because Bruce was different, Wow. And people hate it because he was only like, what, 5'7", 5'8"? Weighed about 135 or something like that. Or 145. People hate that. But the reality is that this dude trained a bunch of times, a bunch of hours, because he loved it. He was a fan of martial arts. And he was also the first one to show people that effectiveness is more important than style, And a lot of these UFC fighters learn from him, but then, the proud ones ain't gonna say that, That's how I know that people like Conor are actually humble in real life, because of the way he talked about Bruce Lee, But yeah, a lot of people, they want to take credit for something, But yeah, he was, he's to me very important to mixed martial arts. But he's also not a superhero or a superhuman, guys. I mean, he did do amazing things because he trained a lot. There we go. Knockout. It's over, TJ. Yeah.
Beautiful KO just as the round was ending.
And yeah, I do think he would have performed well in the UFC because he was the type that kept evolving in his fighting. So like if he would have been born in a different generation or something, because by the time the UFC came around, Bruce Lee would have still been too old. He would have been close to 50. Because he died in 73, so a lot of people aren't aware of that because they talk about him like he was here recently. But yes, for those of you who don't know, there you go, guys. I'm going to go ahead and do another match. Alright, guys, for my last match, I'm going to do Bruce Lee versus Caceres. And the reason is they call him Bruce Leroy. So that's why I picked him. And he was a good fighter at some point, I don't know if he still fights for the UFC, but he might still. I don't know. But yeah, guys, like I was trying to say, let's go ahead and continue on to the fight. Bruce was just more than a fighter, but he was definitely a fighter, guys, Make no mistake about it. Most of the fights he was in were actually real fights where there was no referee, It was just somebody that didn't like him. And he also fought stuntmen that were martial artists. Not all stuntmen are just stuntmen, Like there's a lot of stuntmen that actually are martial artists, like Gene LaBelle and people like that. The stuff that was said about him with, I guess, Quentin Tarantino, who, by the way, I love Quentin Tarantino's movies, but he really doesn't know what he's talking about when it comes to Bruce Lee. He says stuff that doesn't make any sense if you read anything about Bruce Lee, but it's because he's trying to sell a book, let's be honest, and sell his movie, which this movie was good. I loved this movie. And I didn't consider his representation of Bruce Lee, so I really didn't care. But it did bother quite a bit of people, you know, because they felt that he disrespected him. And no, Quentin never met Bruce Lee, but he acts like he did. And that's pretty funny. Either way, aside from all that controversy, which I usually don't even talk about, another thing that people don't get is that Bruce was actually a very comedic and funny person in real life. And he was just a normal guy, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would have loved to meet him and just, like, hang out, you know? He seemed like a pretty normal guy. And there's stories about cannabis and all this stuff. And I'm like, it was the 70s. None of that surprises me. Now, did I see him ever do the drugs or people claim? No, I never saw it, so I can't say that is true. But it's just kind of annoying how people act like something is true and they weren't there. Oh shit. I find that pretty fucking funny. People are like, yeah, it's definitely true. It's a true story. I'm like, if you weren't there, it's not a true story, buddy. Especially if the person's talking to you. That's it. Bruce Leroy is done. That was easier than I thought it would be. They actually made Bruce Lee legit in this game. Shit.
Once again, here's our fight replay. And let's look at the replay and see the end of this fight. This is the
shit, that was so short. I was thinking if I should do one more, but I'm not sure. We'll see. Let's go on to the next one.
Here is Bruce Buffer.
There you go, guys. 3 different matches in 3 different weight classes. I believe he might be in welterweight also, but I just kind of wanted to go through it, talk a little bit about Bruce, you know, and stuff like that. But yeah, a lot of stuff that, you know, things are either overhyped or underhyped. You know, there's always extremes. Nobody wants to find that balance. But yeah, I don't disagree or agree with a lot of things because I simply didn't know those people, you know, and a lot of them are old now. And Bruce is dead and he can't defend himself when people talk about him, so it's kind of ridiculous. But at the same time, I mean, that's human nature. People like to believe gossip, especially if they don't like somebody or they're envious of somebody. I mean, think about it. He's like he's a legendary status, and they still remember him to this day. There's gonna be a lot of people that want that status just by talking bad about him, but that's not how it works. You don't get that status by talking bad about people. So yeah, you gotta be look. This guy was a passionate guy, and he was pure honesty. You know, just radiated off him. And a lot of people wish they could do that. You know, be that comfortable with themselves. So yeah, I just think that you should be comfortable with yourself, be passionate about what you want to do, and which is what I'm trying to do in my life. You know, it's taken me several years, but I'm trying. And yeah, Bruce was a major influence of passion. You know, passion. He's a major influence in like just fighting for your dreams, even though everything is against you, all odds are against you. Top of the fact that he was a small Chinese man, foreigner. I mean, he wasn't really that small, but whatever, what people consider small. Because the average height here, I think it's 5'9". But you guys know what I mean. You know, a passionate person with goals and dreams. And he just kept trying till he got somewhere. And obviously he was naturally talented in a lot of ways. But yeah, definitely I think that instead of like putting people down to try to make yourself come up, I think you should do the opposite. And if your life sucks, change it. You know what I'm saying? If you think your life sucks, you just hate the fact that other people has better lives, then fight for it, you know? Like, but don't put people down. I mean, that's a sign of a true coward and somebody that has something to compensate for, you know what I'm saying? Like when you hear people like criticize other people for like just whatever reason, it usually means that that person that's being negative is a cowardly person, very cowardly, and I don't think those people should be even. I honestly, if I don't have something nice to say, I just don't say it. Like, I won't even go. If I don't like a YouTube video, I won't fucking say anything. I'll just not watch it. But people constantly just like you have other options, guys. There's billions of YouTube videos, I think, maybe more. But yeah, you guys know what I mean. Either way, I do hope you guys enjoyed. Please like and subscribe when you get a chance. And like I always say, good game.